Okay, I don't
Think
know
you can
how.
do it?
No,
You couldn't make milk or honey?
I don't think I could.
So you're saying someone more intelligent than you must have made the milk and the honey?
Well, then it couldn't have been Kirk or Ray then, could it? Air horns. Yes, that's right, we're back at it again with our two favourite creationists. And by favourite, I do mean people who we all think are just the worst, but, you know, the best of that, whatever the hell that means. And still at it with the old Vox Pops, are we? You just can't Vox stop, can you? Maybe you should Vox take a long walk off a short pier. Just for the peace and quiet, to be honest.
I think an animal will probably make the milk and the honey.
Someone's got to make the animal. They can make the milk and honey. What's
Animals
that?
made themselves.
Animals made themselves? So animals are cleverer than you. Can you make a cow?
Why do you think that making a cow, etc., necessarily requires intelligence there, Ray? I mean, some of the dumbest people alive can not only make kids, but have a bad habit of making f***ing tons of them. Now, that's not to say that only idiots like having lots of kids, but it's certainly not a prerequisite to be smart to do that now, is it? Although I bet you would have trouble figuring out where your parts go to make the magic happen. The amount of people you've blinded during intercourse is probably staggering.
Is this making sense to you?
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, I think it all evolved eventually.
From what?
Back from the dinosaurs.
But where the dinosaurs come? Who made the dinosaurs?
Ugh. You know, Ray, you are no Socrates. I know you think, well, if I question someone enough, they will realise that they can't answer every one of my asinine questions. And that's probably true, at least for most people. But there's part of it you ask people who are just wandering around, doing their shopping or whatever. I don't see you stalking the halls of Smart Guy University or somewhere these questions will get answered till you run out. And even if they don't have an answer to whatever, that doesn't mean that you can jump up and yell, "Ha ha, therefore God, me am doing the smarting." That's not how it works, buddy. Never was. You don't get to replace someone else's ignorance with a different type of ignorance.
I don't know, Big Bang Theory?
So who made the material for the Big Bang? You've got to have material for a bang.
Nah, I don't know, it just came.
From where?
Gotta have material for a bang? I don't know, a bit of lube maybe, perhaps some sort of prophylactics of some kind. You don't really need much, unless you're into some of the more exotic stuff, when whips and chains could be in order. Well, you'll have to ask a pro, really. How is your mum, by the way?
Who knows?
Gases in space.
Who made the gases?
Man, you're confusing. I don't know.
He's not confusing, he's deliberately deceptive because he doesn't care what your answer is. It's always going to come back to, if you don't know one thing, it's definitely his thing, and he doesn't actually have to prove it. You don't know, his answer must be right, which is obviously completely stupid on the face of it. And damn, it has quite the stupid face to begin with.
Can you make a bee? Because if you can make a bee, you can make the honey. If you can make a cow, you can make the milk.
I don't find your logic compelling.
Nice. And yeah, you can make honey and milk without a cow or whatever, so who cares? These aren't actually impossible feats for a person to achieve. Both have been made by people with zero animal involvement. Give it 100 years and there's going to be a lot fewer of these questions you are going to be able to ask. Give it 1,000 and who knows? Maybe your only thing will be, imagine if we couldn't do that. Therefore God, right?
It's sensible though. If you're an intelligent being and you can't make a cow or a bee that can make milk and honey, obviously someone more intelligent than you created the cow and the bee. Does that make sense?
Sensible? I was thinking of a very different S word. And for fuck's sake, stop appealing to people's sense of intellect. I mean, you yourself have said that you shouldn't appeal to the intellect. You have to bypass it and go to the heart. AKA, you know you're wrong and so emotional manipulation is the only way.
No, it doesn't make sense. I don't think there's like a logical correlation between those two steps.
What do you think is making sense? What I just said?
I mean, it makes sense. Nature created these animals.
Nature, evolution made itself.
Don't pretend you even believe vaguely in evolution, Ray. Do you know how catastrophically disingenuous this whole thing is? Anything that you can do to try to undermine what someone believes is on the table, no matter how much of an underhanded tactic it is. You don't want to convince them that you are right. You want to convince them they are wrong, therefore you are right. When that's not the same thing. It's not a binary between you and their understanding of the science. Really, you shouldn't even be involved.
If you can do these things, then sit back and expect the birds to sing your praises.
Why would anyone expect that? Apart from the fact that, as before discussed, birdsong is not a song, but in fact, bird shouts about fleeing, fighting and fucking f***ing. It's just a strange thing to want all of the animals of a particular type to constantly say how cool you are. And again, conceivable. Everything that you think is so beyond the capabilities of mankind almost certainly isn't. They've been cloning shit for years, and I'm sure with concerted effort, the invention of an artificial cow is something that could be achieved. It's just they probably won't want to do that. Like seriously, if you can make all their produce, what then becomes the purpose of fake cow TM? Of course, the fake birds registered would be well worth it. Who wouldn't want to wake up to a bird screaming at you about what an amazing genital you have or whatever?
You deserve it. Until that time, you'd better do what I did many years ago when my blind eyes were open to the works of Almighty God.
Why would they do that? Just because I can't make a decent armoire doesn't mean I'm going to have my eyes open to the great work of Armoirismo, the great and powerful wizard of armoires, and praise his grand and mighty furniture-making skills, because I don't think he exists. And just because someone can't make a cow doesn't instantly mean the thing you think did that. Also, what the f*** is an armoire?
Lay your hand upon your sinful mouth. Humble yourself.
When the hell did you do either of those things? You are one of the most talkative, least humble motherfuckers on the face of the planet. If you are humble, I must be the grand high god king of self-deprecating modesty. I mean, let's be fair, I would be the best at it, as I am with all things.
And then bow your ungrateful heart in worship to the God that gave you life and lavished his goodness upon you.
Again, how does that work? You know that even if humans could never reproduce the output of nature, that would in no way even remotely be evidence for any kind of God. And to not only assert that it does, but it would in fact be your God, and that everyone should immediately simply believe what you believe, is so incredibly stupid, it beggars belief.
Then quickly obey his fearful voice and make peace with him through the blood of the cross.
Wait, the cross bleeds? That explains all the stains. And he has a fearful voice. I knew God was scared of me. It stands to reason. I would be scared of me too if I owned any amount of whiskey. I do have a bad habit of breaking in and stealing it, and then crapping in your hallway and passing out in the living room. Oh my God, what the f*** is this nonsense? Christ, scared the shit out of me. Getting flashbacks to being in your hallway. Jesus, completely unnecessary that was.
Okay, so you're an atheist?
Yep.
Oh, here it comes. This ought to be good, although it is of course presented in more vox pops. Seriously, is there nothing these clowns won't do these man on the street BS sections about? Like, if they're ever trying to decide what their favourite type of snow is, when everyone knows that the lemon flavour is the best.
So you think everything happened by chance?
Pretty much what you make happens.
Oh, damn it, Ray. He didn't understand the question the way you wanted him to. You wanted him to say, "Ja, universe am chance boy." Not a fair, things often happen 'cause you make them happen answer. You must hate it when people who don't realise they are supposed to say what you want them to say go off script. The bastards.
Okay, is there a possibility there was a God who made all things and the God was eternal?
Ah, there's a cut there. He definitely got completely sidetracked by that answer, didn't he? Nice. Fine. Is there a possibility of an infinite G-Dog, presumably outside of time and space? The answer to that is, I don't know, and you don't know, but the likelihood is pretty low, because my experience of eternal boys existing is 0, but my experience of non-eternal, non-God types is incredibly packed. Can't f***ing move for these pesky mortals.
Well, I guess, yeah, if you're open-minded, anything's possible.
Are you open-minded?
Christ, do not answer that. Lord only knows what kind of messed up plans he's got for you if Ray finds out that you're open-minded. Before you know it, you'll be hanging from the ceiling via bungee cords with those tiny little crocodiles hanging from your nipples. Just another Tuesday for Ray.
Yeah, I mean, I've asked God to do a bunch of things for me and never has, but...
Oh, there's a good reason for that. You see, the thing about God is, he's completely incapable of providing anyone, anywhere with anything. And the only things that you get after praying for them, you would have gotten anyway. You see, that's what you've got to understand. God works in mysterious ways. Or as the French say, le God doesn't real, mate. Beautiful language.
Hang on.
But he can't answer everyone if there is one, right?
Yes, he can, but you've got to come on his terms. I mean, I can say, I want the Queen of England to be in my living room tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Well, she's not going to show up.
God can't actually do things. No, God only makes the things happen when you have the possibility of it happening and it's incredibly likely to happen. Like how I prayed for whiskey and then ordered whiskey off the internet and then whiskey showed up. It's a miracle. I mean, okay, I am digging myself a hole here. Whiskey is a miracle. But I'm pretty sure I don't need to do the pray bit to get the miracle. Because it's more of a man-made miracle. I know. I still can't get over the fact that they can do something worth a damn.
I've got to come on her terms. I may have to bow when I meet her and I got to make an appointment, and God's exactly the same.
God's exactly the same as the Queen? That's a bit of a new take. I mean, the Queen is way better than God. He doesn't have the fancy hat. I've never seen him with any corgis, and not to mention the big one, she's f***ing real. As hard as it would be to get an audience with the Queen, you could, conceivably, be in a situation to meet her. Lots have, with video and photo evidence to prove it. Look, all you have to do is bring me one picture with you and the G-Dude, and maybe we can talk. Although, only if you're doing the bunny ears behind his head, that's how you know it's real.
And God's exactly the same on steroids. I mean, you've got to approach him the way he wants you to, and the Bible says you've got to have a humble heart.
You've got to be humble to God because he's on steroids. You know, now that I think about it, it explains why all the pictures tend to be buff as f***, and also explains the anger issues he seems to have. He wasn't bothered that man was sinful or some shit. He was having f***ing roid rage and couldn't control his emotions. Also, of course, he's like the Queen but on steroids. Old Liz doesn't need artificial enhancements to be buff as f***.
You've got to come in faith. So, if there was a heaven, Art, do you think you're good enough to go there?
Come in faith. Sorry, I know, but I wouldn't have to laugh if everything he said wasn't so funny. And good enough to go to heaven? Give me one consistent description of heaven first, and try not to make it sound like the opposite of anywhere I would ever want to go for more than maybe a weekend. And perhaps I'll consider answering your question. Oh, and you know, prove it.
Yeah.
And what about you, Nikki?
I guess I don't believe in heaven though.
So if there was heaven, let's surmise there is.
Theoretically.
Yeah, let's be theoretical.
I mean, in layman's term of theory, absolutely everything you say is in theory. But the problem is, you can theorize all day. But when there are so many versions of heaven and God, or gods even, there's a time when you have to admit that even in theory having a heaven, you couldn't possibly know which one it is. So it's kind of academic at that point.
How many lies have you told in your life?
Countless.
10, 20, 100? I'm talking about real lies.
Realize?
Wait. The f***'s a real lie? Is that your justification for mangling the truth in service of God? Because I hate to tell you this, buddy, but those lies are just as much lies as when you tell people that you know what you're talking about, or that you have a brain that works. The most blatant of all your lies.
20.
What about you, Nikki?
I don't know.
You lost count?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Apparently, if there is a heaven, though, God's supposed to be all forgiving. So you can, if you were to go to heaven, then you could have all your sins forgiven.
You sure of that?
No one's sure of that, Ray. When it comes to any and all spiritualities, aside from those who are either delusional or haven't put nearly as much thought into the idea as they should have. No one is sure of anything. That's why there are so many versions, and that's why you can sell your snake oil to the less critical of thinkers.
That's what they say.
Would you bet your life on it?
No.
I wouldn't either.
But Ray, you have bet your life on God being all-forgiving. Even though, come on, we both read the same Bible, all-forgiving is not one of my main takeaways from that guy's action. And you're betting your life on picking the right one as well. Not saying I have all the answers, I don't believe. But you say you do, and yet you couldn't even begin to prove that you've made the right choice. Here's hoping, for your sake at the very least, either I'm right, or it's not your God, and someone who is actually all-forgiving. 'Cause you got a lot to seek forgiveness for, my dude. I mean, look at that shirt. Salmon is so last Thursday.
So what do you call someone who tells lies?
I think we all know the answer to this, and it starts with an R and ends in an A comfort. I would have said something else, but I ain't no Ray Comforter.
Depends on what kind of lie.
She got it.
A liar.
Okay, have you ever stolen something in your life, Art, even if it's small?
Oh, well, I steal all the time. The hearts of millions of people every day. No, not in the metaphorical sense. I mean, I have millions of hearts. Not sure why. They clearly don't do anything. Replace them all with baked potatoes and they all seem to be fine. Now, what to do with millions of hearts? I'm thinking carnival prizes.
Yep.
And what about you?
Yeah.
What do you call someone who steals things?
A thief.
A thief?
Have you ever used God's name in vain?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the goddamn Jesus titty fucking Christing time. What's your point?
God gave you life, eyes to see with, ears to hear good music, taste buds to enjoy good food, and you took his holy name and used it as a cuss word to express disgust.
I certainly did the second, but I'm pretty sure he didn't do anything of the sort for the first, so really, again, what's your point, Ray? And if he really did do that, the fuck's he care what I say? It's not even his real name, Yahweh, damn it. And seriously, any god who can't take their name being said in the wrong context is a giant fucking wuss not worthy of anyone's praise, so fuck him. And of course, as always, Ray, same to you. Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the